Welcome to Game Crutch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
We were talking about games and things.
Hello, games and things.
Hello, games and things. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what games. I don't know what things. That's what
Me
kind of
either.
week this is.
Yep.
So, ready to get into it?
Yep.
All right. Did you play anything new this week?
I did. Uh, so I actually haven't seen the new episode doc yet, so my bad about that. But I played Turbo Overkill, which released this week. It's a new game from Apogee Software, and
Mm-hmm.
let me see, who else was it? Trigger Happy Interactive, which it's their first game as a developer, but it's published by Apogee. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Anyway, Apogee are the people that made like Rise of the Triad, and, like the old like Duke Nukem games and stuff like that, alongside 3D Realms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game is awesome.
Okay.
This so far is my favorite game of the year. So far, this is my favorite game of this year so far,
Okay.
easily. All right, so Turbo Overkill is a throwback shooter similar to something like Duke Nukem, those kind of games, but modernized, with all the bells and whistles to make everything much more streamlined and playable. So I've played through the first whole episode, and that's if you've ever played like Doom or Wolfenstein or anything like that. Instead of like chapters or like that sort of thing, the game is broken up into episodes, and an episode exists with like 10 levels. So I've played like 10 levels of this game so far, basically.
Okay.
And each one like has another bit of the story as you go further into it, and so on and so forth. They did it in like the old Wolfenstein games and the games like Doom and that sort of thing. And just got the episode 2 and I finished episode 1. This game is like very, very cyberpunk. It has like a really kind of like Judge Dredd feel with a mix of things like I, I really don't know how to put into perspective what it is, but it's like super flashy, neon. You can like get
I
in
see
your
that.
car eventually, and when you can get in your car, it's like a hover car. It's like a flying car, so you can like actually fly around the map then inside of your car and like get out of it and stand on the hood and use it to get to like different places in the world and whatnot. And yeah, it's like super fast paced. It's really fun. You're able to like augment your character as you continue on and like get money from defeating enemies and stuff. And currently, the way I have my character augmented is so in this game you have a chainsaw leg. That is the main one of the main focuses of this game. Your leg has been replaced with a chainsaw.
Okay.
So you think of like any kind of game like I don't know, like Apex Legends, like that sort of thing, where you can do the like whole sliding thing,
Mm-hmm.
like on your knees. You can do it in like Call of Duty, you can do like slides. All right, now imagine if when you did that, a chainsaw came out and you could then use the sliding action to also attack enemies. So like the game's like super fast paced and like kind of crazy the way it plays essentially. And then when you like combo that with the augments that you have, you're able to like really like build your own kind of uh you know character, that sort of thing. So my chainsaw leg, every time I kill someone, I heal 6 health and also gain 8 shield. So
Okay.
I will literally just like injure like an enemy, get them down to like close to dying, and then I will chainsaw leg them by doing like a slide into them and killing them, so I regain health off of the kill on that enemy. And it makes the game like even more fast paced because I'm like zipping around the entire map and then also like chainsawing the people by doing like slides and everything and like double jumps and triple jumps and all this other crazy stuff. And it's really, really fun. So essentially the last level that I just played was think of like the big blue from like
F-Zero.
F-Zero. Yeah, exactly. Think of that. And you know how like the stage in Smash Brothers has like the cars that are continuously moving and that sort of thing? Well,
Yeah.
it's that, and you're hopping from the cars from place to place and like zipping across them and doing like double jumps and slides off them, while like fighting enemies. So like you're actually like following the flow of traffic and fighting people on top of cars as you're following them and like jumping from car to car and rooftop to rooftop. And at one
Hmm.
point, I like slid off of the cars and onto a small like monorail train that was to the side of the cars. And when I got into the train, I then fought all the enemies inside the train, traveled all the way to the end of the train, continuing the level, and then like was able to drop back out of the train and onto more cars and continue following the flow of traffic while doing this stage. And it was crazy. There's some like really, really cool set pieces with this game. It is just like nonstop, high octane, like just crazy balls to the wall shooting FPS fun, and it is really good. Another example I can give of like a part that was like super cool was I had to, in like the third stage or something, go to like a nightclub, and you know like those wallpapers and things you always see of like the vaporwave things where you have like the palm trees but they're like pink and they're like neon lit up and all this, that, and the other, and it's just like a specific kind of aesthetic.
Hmm.
um like the sun setting in the background, but it's like pink and there's like it's going down, and I don't exactly know how to explain it, but I can show it to you if you don't exactly know what I'm talking about. So
Mm.
I'll just post it in the chat. You can see it in the general chat. That should link to the file if you click it. So yeah, this aesthetic. There's an entire like nightclub built around
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
synthwave aesthetic. So you're like fighting in a nightclub, and the nightclub has like projected onto it this like synthwave aesthetic and everything that you're fighting in, and it's like fighting inside of an album cover, and it was
Mhm.
super cool. And there's lots of really neat moments like this, like this is like kind of cyberpunky in a way where it's like everything's like corporate and everything's like very what's the word I'm looking for? Very oppressive, like it feels like things are beating down on you, like the corporate atmosphere. And you play this one stage that's called like Paradise Hotel, and like the hotel is like really nice and it looks like a normal hotel. And as you're continuing that stage, you like break through the ceiling, and then it reveals that it's like just a rundown like slum of apartments and everything, and they're just like projecting the sky above to make it look like a nice place, but the whole place is just like really shitty and like very terribly thrown together. And there's like just super cool and really interesting set pieces that happen in this game like that. Like the like main fighting like boss that you're fighting, which is literally called Sin, SYN, which is an AI that has essentially tried to like escaped and is now trying to take over the entire world and that sort of deal.
Mhm.
Sin in that level with the like paradise apartments and everything, the way you first realize, oh, well, these apartments aren't actually what they seem, is at one point in that stage, Sin projects itself onto the wall. So everywhere you look then is like the enemy's face, and it like has this really weird effect where as you're like turning, you like see like this eyeball that's like just laughing at you maniacally and everything, but like you're kind of stuck in this nothingness where it's just that until you like fire at the screen, and then it like breaks the screens, and then you have to like shoot at the rest of the screens to find your way out of the maze that is that like that just hologram that was being projected that then got corrupted by the sin that you're trying to fight. And this game's so fucking cool. It is so good. This is so much fun and it's really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know what else to say other than like it's so much fun.
It really does look like, I think you kind of nailed the kind of aesthetic on the first thing, like Duke Nukem versus Cyberpunk, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the vibe I really got from watching the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has but it's like unique though too. I mean, I wouldn't say it's
Yeah,
like
it's
really
not
ripping
like
off
it's
either
not
of
like
them,
those
but
other yeah, it's not like those other games. It kind of has its own thing going on as well. Even though it does have like that cyberpunk aesthetic, it has some Doom in there. It has a lot of Duke Nukem in there, but it's still its own thing at the end of the day, and it's lots of fun.
yeah, it looks really good and it sounds really interesting. Just the different abilities and stuff you were talking about.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing. I've literally only been playing that. It's
Okay.
so good.
All right. Well, my playing this week is it's been peckish, so I really don't have a ton to talk about. I
Hmm.
did, I guess maybe if I'm going to touch on anything, I did briefly try out the Pokemon card game on
Okay.
the PC thing. That's
When
interesting.
you say try out, have you never played it before?
No,
Wow, it's so good.
I know you and Nick talked a lot about it in the past. Like Nick even went as far as to say it's like his favorite Pokemon game.
I mean, it is excellent. It's like I said, my second favorite Pokemon game.
Yeah, and I never played it before. And I'm not really sure why. Honestly, it's not that I
Hmm.
don't like card games. Like I'm definitely do. Not that I don't like Pokemon, as you know. I like
Yeah,
Pokemon.
you definitely
But for
like
some reason,
Pokemon.
yeah, but for some reason, this never, crossed my, you know, mind even at that time when probably I was at, peak love for both of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I never played it, but I did get to play a couple matches, and I'm
Hmm.
sure I'm still in like the tutorial-ish area.
Yeah,
We're kind of learning how things are going, but I was like, oh, this is very straightforward, CCG kind of game.
yeah.
Um,
But like even with it being that, it has like personality because like
mhm,
you're like getting cards from people that you beat or getting packs from people that you beat, that
mhm,
sort of thing. So it feels like when you would get money from beating like a Pokemon battle. So
yeah,
it kind of like rolls that into it as well. And then on top of all of that, it's got like the feel of like going to a local card shop, that sort of
yeah,
deal. Like
mhm,
it really nails that vibe, and it's like it did it perfectly at probably the time where that was like one of the things that kids would do like every week, and it's so cool, and I really love that about it.
oh, and it definitely has those kind of like moments where you're like, well, I mean, you're still, kind of have like the luck of the draw kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I hope I get, the card to level up this or evolve this Pokemon.
Hmm.
That would be pretty nice. And then, I think kind of my difficulty so far is, and I think it's kind of like a lot of, at least, I don't know a lot, but presumably,
Hmm.
my experience with like customizable card games is you
Yeah.
really kind of have to know what the decks are built like. You can
Hmm.
kind of plan ahead for that. And the game, at least kind of in the areas that I've been at, has kind of started to hint at you for those kind of things, but doesn't really like, it's like, hey, you know, put this energy on this Pokemon. And
Yeah.
you're already like, you have enough to do all of its abilities currently. You know, you're doing it for the next evolution. But for me, I'm like, I don't know what energy it needs for the next evolution,
Mm.
like abilities. So I'm like, well, and I'm more on my own now. I'm like, do I hold on the energy or should I just preemptively put this on this Pokemon in hopes that it'll be helpful for the next one? Or is it going to end up getting wiped by this Pokemon and then, maybe it'd be more useful to hold on to it and have it ready for the next one? Yeah, so there's just kind of that whole thought process there, which is kind of nice. And, having the ability to kind of have things and shuffle them back and forth. It definitely
Hmm.
feels like a card version of a Pokemon game, um, which just kind of they kind of nailed how that kind of works. I would say is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So, I don't think that. I mean, honestly, I think the graphics for a Game Boy Color game look pretty good. They have those kind of rendered sprites, so you can kind of see, what cards you have, and I think they look pretty nice. Considering the limitations. I thought they were very detailed, and I guess too, I had seen this just kind of set on, people talking about this, version, but they did say it's kind of the best version of this game that's ever come out because you do have the save states and all that jazz, but it also offers you online play as well. So
Okay.
you can actually do the online Game Boy battles, just without any extra like equipment or anything. You just have to both be switch online people, and then you got access to the game and you can play online. So um, that's a pretty nice perk too. So I expect I'll play through some more of it at some point. But I don't think I have too much more to say about it right now. Do you have any other thoughts on it? I know you played it in the past, or
I haven't played it like in a very long time, but I
Mhm.
do remember like really enjoying it and just liking how like authentic it kind of felt. And
Hmm.
it also kind of had like a feeling of like a mix between like early Yu-Gi-Oh and like normal Pokemon at the time. So
Hmm.
it was like, okay. And I liked that they used like the card artwork if I recall correctly. And it was like
Yeah,
it was good.
yeah, that's really good. That's all I've been playing too. I don't have anything else extra to add into that category.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of like new stuff, there's still Pokemon stuff because they did put out another trailer for the DLC this week.
Yep. Let's
Uh,
talk about that, I guess.
yeah, which wasn't really like terrible. Well, some of it was kind of cryptic, and then some of it was kind of like okay, no surprise. Like kind of the first part of it was they're like, oh, basically all the starters are back in the new area.
Hmm.
So I think they even said there's like a plethora of Pokemon. So yeah, there's like the starter Pokemon. There's just tons of them. So you can go and catch your Bulbasaurs and your Mudkips and all your classic starter Pokemon from the last what is it 8 generations prior to this one. So those are all there. But kind of the big thing is there's a new uh terrestrialization. I don't know. Category, and it's like a mystery, and they're like, I don't know what this one means. It's the 19th one. It's not one of the ones like you've had before. So it either means it's kind of like a all powerful kind of every ability kind of thing. Maybe
Hmm.
like what they did with the Arceus in Legends Arceus, where it had kind of like a move that was powerful against everything. Not sure.
I see, I
Don't
see.
Yeah, don't really know anything about it yet. Just that it's coming. So people are just speculating away on that. And then we talked about it last week. That whole you know my own Mew kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, get your own Mew, and you can fight Mewtwo. We get ready to fight Mewtwo in September. So Mewtwo, the mightiest mark. So that's exciting. But that's all the news piece I had. I know you said you had some big news to talk about this weekend.
All right, so it's not exactly news,
Hmm.
but it's essentially something that's happened. All right.
Okay.
First and foremost, IGN had a good take.
Oh, which game?
Well, that's the thing. It
Hmm.
was on the industry.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to talk about that. So over the weekend, they released a new game which shot up to the literal top of the ranks and is the highest rated game for this entire year already in just a few days
Uh
time.
huh.
That game's Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
In case you've haven't heard of it.
Hmm.
So Baldur's Gate 3, a lot of people are saying, you know, this game's incredible. And then a bunch of developers from different companies, Activision, Ubisoft, EA, came out of hiding and they were like, this game's asinine. You shouldn't expect this sort of quality from people. It's just unrealistic to expect people to be able to bring you this sort of quality. Don't expect this to be the quality of games going forward. It's not going to be. This is Rockstar level bullshit. Not Rockstar as in the company, but think of like like an actual Rockstar, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of embarrassing that they would do something like this. So a bunch of devs started bitching that the game was too good,
Hmm.
um, and hating on it for existing, essentially. And when people started being like, well, you take Tears of the Kingdom, you take now Baldur's Gate,
Hmm.
and you take things like that, as well as there was another one they listed, Elden Ring. You take those kind of games. Those should be the standard of games going forward. Anything less shouldn't be rated as highly. And
Hmm.
IGN essentially agreed with them and asked, like, why can't this be the standard going forward? Why is something that is so good like frightening you? Why are you trying to like downplay it completely and just straight up tell people don't expect this quality from us?
Hmm.
Why would you not want to do better? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people pointed out, oh well, they had like the developers like that were bitching about it. They pointed out, well, they had a 6-year development like cycle and that sort of thing. And IGN kind of was like, yeah, that's like the development cycle for every Ubisoft title. How long has GTA 6 been in development? And they would, they brought on all this information, brought all this stuff forward. And they're like, if these people can like put together something this good in 6 years, then that should be the standard going forward for
Mhm.
games like this. There shouldn't be don't expect this sort of thing because I'm not going to do it. You should want to improve. You should want to keep making the gaming industry better by consistently having games that are this good where people want to spend the money on them. People want to play the game.
Yeah.
People want to just enjoy the content that's there, not wait for, DLC or spend money on microtransactions. There's just a completed game and it's really good and therefore everyone buys it and it makes a lot of money.
Mhm.
That's what you should want to do. And like all these other developers were being like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not even going to try. That's not going to be the standard going forward. This was like a diamond in the rough. You're not getting this quality from us. And then IGN essentially like kind of brought up like how the developers were being like, they have a big team and they had a long time to work with it and they really tore down every single point that these developers were making. They're like, yeah, you're right. They did have a really big team, much like Bungie has a team of like 1,400, and Activision has a team of like 800, and Blizzard has a team of 4,000. But
Mhm.
Larian, the people that made Baldur's Gate, yeah, they do also have a big team of 400 people,
Yeah.
pointing out that their team is much smaller than the people that are bitching, saying the reason why the quality for their game was so big was because they have a big team working on it. Meaning basically poking a hole in all these developers that are saying like they have such a big team, you can't expect us to be able to do this, when the teams that are saying this have teams that are like 4 or 5 times the size of the people that made Baldur's Gate 3. So they really just pointed out how like all these people are being super like just dismissive of like how good this game is and the quality and the standards that it's setting, and just trying to be like, oh no, just forget about that, just forget about Tears of the Kingdom, just forget about those games, forget about Elden Ring, because that's not what you're going to get from us. And their question was essentially, why is that not what we're going to get from you? Why do you not care to actually put forward the effort to actually make good games? Like,
Yeah.
why should people pay you the $70 fee for your titles if you're not going to make something as good as this $50 game?
Yeah,
Why?
exactly. Mhm.
Why should people do that? And like, it was just absolutely roasting the gaming industry and all the developers that were like, fuck you guys. You guys are entitled little bitches because you think you'll get quality like this from us. Like these developers were just being assholes.
Mhm.
So it's like, what is the deal here? What is your problem, essentially? And I mean, at the end of the day, it essentially came down to these developers are lazy and they don't want the quality to go up. They just want to keep shoveling out, microtransaction fueled bullshit so they can keep making money hand over fist and not care about the actual quality of their product. And I mean, it was a really interesting video to watch, and the whole discourse over the weekend about it has been incredibly interesting. So I just thought I'd bring that to the table and see what you think. Because when it comes down to it, I have bought many $70 games now
Mhm.
since the like release of like making games $70.
Mhm.
And personally, in my opinion, I think only two of them are worth the $70 price tag that I've ever purchased.
I
And
mean, I don't know. Finish that.
no. I mean, I was just saying, and that's kind of ridiculous when I bought
Mhm.
so many, and I only feel like two are worth the price.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, I think that really is kind of, you know, I think kind of like, we always complain that, well, not we, as in like the podcast. I don't think it's a complaint that we've ever had, but I say we as like a gaming
Hmm.
population, because it's a complaint I've seen pretty regularly.
Yeah,
You talk about like the kind of the review scale.
yeah,
It's, it goes from 1 to 10, but basically, the lower numbers are never used, and they treat it almost like it's like a kind of like a school grading system, A, B,
Hmm.
C, D, which is not actually, what they end up doing with it. Um, but what my point is there is that there's a place for every sort of game in that range,
Hmm.
and they might fill specific roles. And I kind of think the same way, like price wise, and in terms of what you're putting in. They're like, for example, Advance Wars,
Yeah.
Reboot Camp. I've been playing through that lately. Uh, that's not a $70 game, and I don't think that there's anything that they could do to make that a $70 game while kind of keeping true to that, you know, style of game without going too wild.
But here's the
So,
thing: it is a $60 game. Is it a
no, no,
$60 game? Does it feel like a $60 game?
I'm still not finished with it. I don't know for sure, and it probably depends on what you end up playing with it.
Hmm.
I put a pretty significant amount of time into it, as
Hmm.
it is. But and honestly, with this game in particular, it may be a poor example because there's probably more to consider in it because it is a remake as opposed to a brand new game.
Yeah.
But that aside, there's different price points for a reason, and if you are not going to go for that quality of that $70 game,
Yeah.
maybe be more appropriate at a $60 or $50 price range. And I think maybe some companies are moving more towards that realization. There's always been that steep divide, I think, between like AAA and indie, and it's kind of like the quality levels between those two and what you get. And granted, as time has gone on, that has
I
blurred a
feel
lot
like
more.
more indie games are like more better quality lately than any AAA title. Like when it comes down to it, if you like were to put a Ubisoft yearly AAA title in front of me or EA yearly AAA title in front of me, that sort of thing, right? Or you were to put like an indie title in front of me, I could buy probably 3 or 4 indie titles that are way better, have more content, are more feature complete, and actually run better than most AAA fucking games. And
Hmm.
that's honestly unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
Yeah. And although I guess on the flip side, maybe aside from Ubisoft, I do kind of feel like the yearly kind of grand AAA title
Hmm.
has kind of started to fade out, which is a good thing.
I
You
disagree.
think that companies should be regularly putting out,
No, 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 no. I disagree with it fading out. I see tons of yearly releases from different things. It's like, oh, it's that yearly game.
I mean,
From
Call of Duty's still there,
uh
you know, but it's not like before where it'd be like, oh, here is Assassin's Creed, Assassin's
hmm
Creed, Assassin's Creed, Assassin's
hmm
Creed, Assassin's Creed, or not Fallout, Far Cry, Far Cry, Far Cry, Far Cry.
Yep.
Ubisoft was generally the biggest offender.
Hmm.
EA used to be, maybe in a runner up, maybe not always in like a yearly basis. They had
Yeah.
some like Battlefield, which kind of fell more into that category. But then they had kind of like some biannually kind of
Hmm.
games that kind of fell into that, where it's, they just don't have the time to put into it. And I'm guessing this is probably where this discussion has come up, with it too. But, the Pokemon company even got called out on it this weekend as well.
Hmm.
Why are you rushing out all these games on a year to year basis when clearly your teams can't support it? Why
Yep.
don't you just spend more time making better quality products
Yep.
instead of rushing out to get these yearly things?
Hmm.
And I 100% agree. I mean, I would much rather, have a better quality product and, kind of make sure it's good and well polished. And I think the fans reward those with better sales in the long run, anyways.
Hmm.
Uh, It seems to be. I mean, I would say, Nintendo seems to be doing that more lately. I mean, we talked about how they delayed uh, Tears of the Kingdom by almost a year just for polishing,
Yeah.
and Nintendo as well has been notorious for, hey, we finished this game God knows how long ago,
Yeah.
and it's just sitting, waiting for us to release it. So there definitely is some more companies that are willing to do it. But granted, I guess the, kind of realistic money side of things is that it's also kind of, you know, like not always financially possible for every company. I don't think Ubisoft is doing so well that they can be like, all right, we need to dump a lot more money and a lot more time into XYZ to make sure it's the best game that can be. Like, they hit a point where they're like, nope, it's got to go out the door. We need money now, and we'll just kind of finish it where it is and hope for the best. But games like that, like I said, there are different price points for a reason.
Mhm.
Should you be trying to squeeze that through a $70,
So
door when
I
it's not
I wanted to
necessarily
take
that?
that
So,
approach that you just talked about, like that sort of thing. Let's look at the game of the years from 2019 to 2022.
okay.
2019, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. That
Hmm.
game had a long development cycle. It was excellent. It did really well for the company. That
Hmm.
company being FromSoft. 2020, The Last of Us Part 2. How long did we see that game in development? A very, very long time. It was polished. It was a complete game. On launch, it was a game. I may not necessarily like this game, but it was a game that I would say is a quality title.
Hmm.
2021, It Takes Two. This is an indie title. This was an indie title, which is an excellent title, by the way. But again, very polished on release. Great game. Complete title. No nickel and diming bullshit. And this game even had the ability to let you have a second player play the game alongside you for free
Hmm.
online. And then 2022, Elden Ring. How long did we see that game in development? My main point is every single one of these games are games that were in development for either a very long time or that when they were made, they were not made as like a games as a service, as like a yearly type of game. Those games don't do anything. They're not good. They sit in bargain bins, and people will end up buying the DLC when it's on sale and not even care about the season pass or the extra shit. They just won't. It ain't gonna happen. And as such, when you look at what is probably going to be 2023, which is either going to be Tears of the Kingdom or Baldur's Gate, it is another complete title. There's a very obvious trend here where complete games get rewarded. So why the fuck, other than just laziness and just the unwillingness to care, are developers not making more games like this? Why is the quality not consistently this good when it gets rewarded with sales, when it gets rewarded with, awards, when it gets rewarded with all of this stuff? Exposure,
Hmm.
purchases, all of this stuff makes a game better and makes the company look better. But they just shit out like your yearly or bi-yearly game from your Ubisoft, your EA, your Take-Two Interactive instead, and just don't give a fuck. They just don't care.
Hmm.
There are several companies that do not care, and then there are several that absolutely do. I've just given you some examples. And it's really, really annoying because, like, I do think that this year's game, like, of the year choices are going to be, like, there's going to be a fight, I think. Like,
Hmm.
there's going to be, like, a very, very close, um, there'll probably be something that puts up a fight between Baldur's Gate, Tears of the Kingdom, and possibly Spider-Man 2, but even like looking at Spider-Man 2, which we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Um I don't feel like when I look at a Sony like, story-driven title, I don't feel like Spider-Man 2 has the ability to like transcend something like Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't feel like that's even going to be in the running. But I'm just giving it the benefit of the doubt because I know it will be a good game. But there's these games from Sony that you look at and you're like, yeah, it's a good game, but it kind of feels like fodder. Like, let's say Horizon Forbidden West
Yeah.
that came out in 2022. It was just kind of thrown out to the wolves. Like, no one really gave a fuck, you know. And I feel like that kind of thing will happen again. Um, but like you also consistently see like indie titles like just absolutely killing it for lesser money for a lower amount of development time unless it's like a major major passion project, but they straight up kill it. They're doing so well in the industry, and it's like, why wouldn't you just scale things back to that? Like, we're not asking for you to do Rockstar levels like these people were talking about. We're not asking for that. We're asking for a finished product that is like good on release, like really good, playable, and just an enjoyable game on release. Not some bullshit that's here to nickel and dime us until the end of eternity.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it because like when I was looking at all this social media stuff, there were just developers coming out in droves being like, "Don't expect this from us. We're not going to do it." And it's like, do you even care? I don't think you do. I really don't think you do.
No, and I also think too, kind of with a lot of those games that you mentioned, and granted, not all of them do, and then some are speculated too, but like Elden Ring, they really didn't talk about DLC until after it came
After it
out.
released, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of speculation that Tears of the Kingdom will likely have DLC, much
Mm-hmm.
like Breath of the Wild did. But even in that case as well, Nintendo didn't talk about DLC until after its release. They gave it some time to sink in, and I think that gives them some time to reflect too. It lets people show that maybe it's not a money grab for that extra
Mm-hmm.
content. It could have been in development before they finished the game.
Yep.
Not saying that they didn't, but it seems like maybe they took some time to at least reflect on the
Yeah.
game and the sales and the concerns that gamers had, and take those into account in terms of what they're putting into that extra content, which I think makes a difference. You can have a small team work on it, initially, maybe work on some ideas and then ramp it up afterwards. Or, if the game is not, necessarily a big, seller, you can, refocus those people on something else instead. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely think I don't disagree with any of those kind of thoughts at all. There's lots to be said, about a complete game. And I do think that there is room for some games, maybe to release with, DLC in the pipeline.
Of course, of course. I don't disagree with that. I think there's definitely some games that are it's totally okay to release with that sort of thing. But it's not so much that they're releasing with it now, it feels like they're planned around it. And
Mhm.
that's the major problem I have. It doesn't feel like the DLC is an afterthought or like something that they're going to do in the future. It feels like something they planned from the get-go. It almost feels like DLC nowadays is just cut content from the original game being sold back to us. Does that make sense? From like when it comes to like games like Far Cry, when it comes to things like that, it just feels like it's cut content that gets sold back to you.
Definitely depends on the game for sure. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
would say something like, even if you look at something like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is
Mm-hmm.
with their like a whole season pass kind of thing. I think we talked about it. Season passes are kind of like a dated concept already, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much room for them, and I think that they're kind of moving more towards maybe those larger DLC packs after the fact or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But even that one kind of follows the trend that maybe Xenoblade 2 had, where it's like, okay, well, we'll give you an extra character here, and that's kind of some extra missions, and that kind of maybe feels more like cut content, and maybe not necessarily even beneficial content.
I don't even think that this example matters what you're trying to say with the Xenoblade, because it's not even what I'm talking about. Because Xenoblade, it feels like an expansion pack from everything that I've seen when it comes to Xenoblade DLC for the most part,
Oh,
especially with like Xenoblade 2
when
and
you're talking those extra characters, I think that's kind of like, they don't really add anything, especially for the people who already beat the game. Like I said,
okay,
I bought the expansion pack because I
okay,
wanted the extra story bit. And it came out almost a year after the game did, and I played
mm,
that. But the other stuff that came out, those two extra characters, that's extra content for the original game that I had long finished before the first character
mm,
even came out. And is it really beneficial to me to go back in and play the main story game again, just to get these extra story quests? I
okay,
didn't. So I didn't really see any value there.
mm,
But I'm kind of locked into buying the whole thing because it doesn't let you buy things piecemeal. That's
mm-hmm,
kind of where I was going with that one. I understand what you're saying. I know it's not the most egregious example. There's definitely far worse examples of it, but I just kind of wanted to, take, something that had some relevancy and that I had played
mm-hmm.
recently.
No, I get it. I understand what
Mhm.
you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't know so much about how they did the characters and that sort of thing because I haven't really. I'm not big into the Xenoblade uh,
Mhm.
information at all.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
day I'll sit down and play them all, but like
You should.
it just feels like a big hurdle to get over, so I haven't even attempted it yet.
Yeah.
But
I would say like Xenoblade 1, excellent game. I think that's kind of like highly recommended for anyone.
yeah, But yeah, I guess it's a lot to take in very quickly. Where like developers would just come forward and instantly be like, "No, I'm not doing it. I don't care. This is asinine. Don't expect this sort of thing from us." And I don't know. It really rubbed me the wrong way when I saw them like attacking people for praising Baldur's Gate 3, and it was just really disheartening for the entire community. And a lot of people in the community just like stood up to them and were like, "This is why you have shit."
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on everyone should be celebrating, wins in the gaming industry. Don't, even if it's not your platform or your preferred game, or maybe it's a competitor. Still celebrate the stuff that is doing well and it's bringing more people into the gaming circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
It's just so I guess that would lead me to the other conversation and stuff I wanted to bring up. And another reason why I kind of felt this way, because
Uh-huh.
you were giving like your examples of what felt like cut content and that sort of thing. Here is my example.
Hmm.
I have finished now Diablo 4.
Okay.
I think it is my most disappointing game of 2023 so far.
Really?
Yeah,
That's quite a sharp change
it
from where
sure
you were
is.
previously.
Oh, it sure is. So I will tell you this right now.
Hmm.
Speaking of quality, everything from chapter 3 and 4 onwards
Hmm.
is just like falling off a cliff,
Oh.
essentially. And when it comes to quality standards, it's just got really weird pacing issues. It starts to feel more like chores than an actual game. It There's a lot of story elements that kind of don't really flow very well and kind of absolutely suck, like
Hmm.
really bad. And it's just not fun
Hmm.
when it comes to like from a story perspective. And I'm gonna go ahead and rip this band-aid off right now for everyone else. There is no ending to this game.
What?
There's no ending to this game.
So
Um,
like the story's just left completely open.
and not only that, but they literally basically say, "Get ready for the expansion pack."
Oh, yay. I mean, it's
Like,
very relevant to what we were just talking about.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. It is very, very obvious. Like you, you go and you defeat the main person, but someone basically turns at the last second for no real reason whatsoever, and then they go off on their own journey, but that journey may bring about strife and horrible things elsewhere, but they're gone now and they used to be in our party, and we'll have to go hunt them down. But wait until I get you more information on where they could be. We'll get back to you on that information in the
Of course.
future.
Yeah.
So it's really built like, hey, there's an expansion coming.
Hmm.
Be ready.
Yep.
And it is so egregious in what I was talking about, essentially. And also, I started the seasonal thing because, much like Diablo 3 had seasonal stuff, I loved Diablo 3 seasonal like runs. They were really fun. Diablo 4 decided that people were breaking the game and enjoying the game too much. So before the seasonal came out, they nerfed every single class in the game
Okay.
completely to make the season last longer. They then,
Why
on top
not?
of that, if you're using a controller, when you go to the seasonal tab, it instantly goes to the purchase battle pass place. And if you just like hit A without knowing where your controller is, you buy the battle pass right away. There's no like, oh, are you sure about this? No, it just happens.
Okay. Random.
No, it's very scummy. It's absolutely 100% designed that way on purpose to get you to actually buy the battle pass. There are people that have been streaming that have done it by mistake, and there are reactions of it online of people being very angry because this battle pass isn't good. Also,
Oh, okay.
like at all.
Hmm.
And many people spent their free battle pass on this one, which they're like, well, fuck, now I guess I have to play it. And when you get into that mentality, it's like that's really predatory, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they've done here. And I think when you look at all of that together, it really shows just like how scummy the gaming industry can be. And then when you see developers being like, yeah, don't expect us to do better, and you see that sort of thing coming from people like Blizzard and that sort of deal, it's like, wow, yeah, of course you're not going to do better. You don't want to. Like, that's not your goal. Your goal is not to make quality content. It's to make a profit first and foremost, and not to make an actual game. You're like making a means to earn you more profit, and that's about it at this point. And that brings me to another point that also has to do with Blizzard, because Blizzard has broken a record over the weekend as well.
I saw.
Yeah.
Not really a record you want to break, but
No, it really isn't. Blizzard broke the record for the lowest reviewed game on all of Steam with Overwatch 2.
what was
It
the
is,
previous? I'm just curious.
I don't know, it's probably just some random indie title or something. So we are sitting currently at 130,000 reviews. Of those 130,000, 9% is positive.
Oh,
At an
jeez.
overwhelmingly negative rating for the game. Let's talk about why it is real quick.
Yes, important.
So they released their new expansion, which is $15. Their new expansion is called the Invasion Bundle. The Invasion Bundle allows you to play the co-op missions and gives you 1,000 Overwatch coins. This is kind of shit, in my opinion, for multiple reasons. One, the invasion stories are essentially the same co-op missions we got as events in Overwatch 1, just a little bit more fleshed out, and not worth the $15 that they are charging for it. Two, this is the first pack, so they're going to nickel and dime the fuck out of people and be like $15, $15, $15, $15 anytime they release new missions. So that really, really sucks.
Yeah, irritating.
Yeah, and I guess the last one would be if you look at Overwatch 2 as a whole, the game is just not good. The balance is all over the place. They've introduced a new hero with essentially no real testing of said hero, and they're locked behind a battle pass system. So, yeah, to actually unlock a character to play in a competitive shooter, you have to buy the battle pass. Now, granted, you can earn the hero, but they're the highest tier in the battle pass, which would mean you'd have to consistently grind that battle pass out day in and day out to stay competitive in this game. So they basically took everything that made Overwatch 1 good and completely destroyed it with Overwatch 2.
Okay.
And then they also pulled back what they were originally going to do, which was going to be heroes were going to have like a skill tree where they'd be able to like grow as you're playing as them and get more powerful in the story mode that they were making. And on top of all of that, you may have noticed I just said story mode. Overwatch 2 was supposed to have a story mode. That's why Overwatch 2 was created. A few months ago, it was canceled.
Okay.
The reason for this game to exist was canceled a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there is literally no reason for this game to exist. Now, if you recall, Overwatch 1 was kind of the purveyor of loot boxes. Loot boxes were a huge thing for the original Overwatch, as you may remember. They got rid of loot boxes.
Okay.
They replaced them with charging you for every individual skin and not allowing you to earn them. Pretty much, period. You can grind them also through the Battle Pass system, but that is essentially the only way you can get skins now for characters. And oh boy, do they keep releasing skins for characters, including the new ones that you also have to grind out. So when you take all of that into account, it is a mess. It is an absolute mess what they have done to this game, and it absolutely deserves its overwhelmingly negative review and being the worst rated game on Steam. I mean, Blizzard's back at it again with, the quality products after I told you how I felt about Diablo 4 just a few minutes ago.
Well, good news. Supposedly they're working on StarCraft 3.
Well, that's It doesn't matter. Blizzard doesn't exist anymore. At the end of the day, Blizzard does not exist anymore. So that does not matter.
I wonder how much will change with Microsoft at the head, if they'll put a kibosh on some of these more predatory things.
We could hope, but who knows? Because if you look at Halo Infinite, also a dead game, also very poorly reviewed,
Mm-hmm.
they had essentially the same system for earning skins and things in Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't
just a
know.
big old mess.
Yeah, it
Just an
sounds like it.
absolute mess.
Yeah. I don't know. Why? I don't know how. Well, I mean, Overwatch, I'm sure can recover some.
It will not.
From this. I don't think it will either.
So here's the reason why it won't.
Yeah.
In case you don't remember, Overwatch was one of the biggest esports games.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Period. That was all scrapped. The entire esports scene was thrown out the window.
Yeah.
So it does not exist anymore. So one of the big reasons why they were the biggest, game period is gone completely. They didn't pay a lot of the people they were supposed to also. So that kind of got them in the bad graces of the esport community. And once you're kind of in their bad graces, you don't get to come back. Period. So pretty much the only people that are playing it now are the ones that are like, ooh, free-to-play game. Or that are like diehard fans that are on a more casual level. But the main thing that catapulted them, aside from porn, is completely dead now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. I do not see this game making a comeback. Period.
Yeah, I think it would be a tough sell for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is too bad. But although I don't think anyone really was excited for it, with the look of it, from where it was coming out.
Very excited for the single player because the heroes and the videos that they put out for them was genuinely interesting, and it looked like, okay, well, we understand the reason why you made a new game and why you deleted the old one. Because in case you didn't know, you can't play Overwatch 1. They deleted it from existence. You are literally locked to Overwatch 2 only. So, yeah.
Okay.
They pretty much burned as many bridges as humanly possible with Overwatch 2, and them being the lowest rated game on Steam comes down to there is no rating system on Battle.net. There is no review system on Battle.net. Many people waited a long time to give this a bad review.
I'm sure. Especially with the scale of which they've gotten those bad reviews.
Yep.
Yeah, no. And, I think kind of, something like this, once it's kind of faded from the, the public space, like the sequel, I think it's kind of, you're right, that it's a tough time to come back from it. So
it's not even just faded from the public face. They literally spat in the public face and then burned the bridge that the people could use to get back to them. So, I mean, it ain't
I was
happening.
just giving it a poetic view, but no, I agree.
I was too.
Yeah, no, and they destroyed that bridge. There's no coming back over it.
They aren't coming back, yeah.
And there are ways that they definitely could have made this transition probably a little bit smoother, but you're right. Like they didn't do anything to kind of harbor that goodwill. They were just like, this is the way we want it, and it was not the right way. And then yeah. So yeah. Something will fill that void. I guess that's kind of always, maybe the better side when those kind of things fail. Something will fill that void.
Yeah, and granted, I have actually played a few things that do fill the void of other games. Like, for instance, Battlefield completely flopped with 2042 or whatever we're at right now. The latest Battlefield just completely took a nosedive in quality. It was not good. And this year, BattleBit released, and let's look at a stark contrast between BattleBit and Overwatch. 72,000 reviews on BattleBit Remastered. 90% of those 72,000 reviews are positive rating. That's crazy. Yeah. That's like a stark contrast between the 9% from the 130,000 with Overwatch 2 And like this is a team of just a few people that are working on BattleBit, and this game is legitimately very good and is the Battlefield that people wanted. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can just take people that have a passion and they will make good games.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just another example of something like that. So,
Yeah.
if the big AAA developers won't do it, some indie dev will. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yep. And not necessarily anything wrong with that. And kind of helps build up those, smaller teams into bigger things. And,
Mm-hmm.
If they do the right thing with it, then, it can be very beneficial for them. So it'll be interesting to see, what ends up, coming out of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else? What else you got?
Honestly, I had a few other things. I'm gonna look at my list real quick if you don't
All right.
mind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is also, I guess, a discussion that's being had right now in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you may know, DLSS,
Yep.
dynamic learning super sampling, is a big thing in the community, of gaming community, specifically on PC, but it's also somewhat on console with FSR right now and everything. And something that a lot of people have been noticing lately is people aren't really using it to like give you better performing games.
Mm-hmm.
They're using it to make worse performing games actually perform in a decent way.
Okay.
A good example of this is Revenant 2, Remnant 2 that just released, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remnant 2 just released and it's required for that game. I've mentioned this before. I've talked about this before, but it keeps getting worse. It seems like more games sorry, excuse me. It seems like more games now are using FSR DLSS as a crutch more so than like a tool to improve game quality and like experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of getting to a point where it's starting to feel like every game is going to be running on that. And since it's not
Yeah.
going to be a native like resolution, every game at some point this generation might look worse than it did, or I guess in the upcoming generation, might look worse than it did this generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really weird. Like, Unreal Engine 5 is being built with DLSS in mind, with FSR in mind, with XESS in mind. And when you take that into account, it's like going back to developers being lazy again,
Mm-hmm.
or just the technology not being there, so why are you trying to put it there? And it's kind of weird where we're at in the gaming space right now. Even like looking at upcoming games such as Spider-Man 2. If you look at Miles Morales, they had, I believe it was 1440p or a little bit lower than 1440p with ray tracing at 60 FPS. That was a thing they had in that game. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the only way you'll be able to play Spider-Man 2 with ray tracing on is at 30 FPS. We're dropping back down to 30 FPS. Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we going backwards instead of forwards? Why was it at the beginning of the generation you had this figured out, but now you don't want to? I cannot see any reason this is being done other than sheer laziness.
Brandon, that's why we need a PlayStation 5 Pro, so we can do it.
No. Looking, there are games, right,
Mm-hmm.
that run with ray tracing and 1080p. 1080p is fine with the ray tracing on if it's 60 FPS. You don't have to have 4K.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, it doesn't matter. I would much rather have a lower resolution than I would have a lower frame rate.
Isn't that the idea of those kind of performance mode settings, though?
They removed it, is what I'm saying. They removed performance mode. They changed the performance mode to a get rid of 60 FPS. I mean, no, get rid of ray tracing for performance mode. Get rid of all the bells and whistles and just 4K 60. I don't want 4K 60. Several people don't want 4K 60. We would rather have a lower resolution with all the bells and whistles and 60 FPS.
Yeah.
That's what you've given us before.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you gave us in Returnal. That's what you gave us in Ratchet and Clank. That's what you gave us in the other 2 fucking Spider-Man games. Why aren't you doing it now? And like when I read that information that came out that Spider-Man 2 will be 60 FPS, 30 FPS, ray tracing, high fidelity, or 60 FPS, 4K, no ray tracing, with lower fidelity, I was like, why? Why? Who cares? Just make it 1440p, 60 FPS, ray tracing. Done. We're good. You did it with Returnal. You did it with Ratchet and Clank. You did it with the other 2 fucking Spider-Man games. You did it with Demon Souls. You've done it with so many things. Just do it with your upcoming games. You don't have to make everything look like a fucking movie in 4K when no one cares because they're playing a game. And that is also like a big issue I kind of have with Sony. They want everything to be cinematic. They want everything to look very pretty. And then the gameplay feels like shit.
It's honestly, I'm sure you guys will disagree, but I, still think 4K is probably too niche for the wider audience.
It is. I don't disagree. It's definitely something for more like tech savvy people, and a lot of people just don't even really notice it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking 4K and 1440p. You're not going to notice it.
Yeah, it's too early, to be.
But 30 FPS versus 60.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because we're at that point now where it's like seeing a game running at 30 FPS is like, oh, yeah, yikes, no, get that out of here. Ooh, disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to, I think at the end of the day, the important thing is it runs smoothly. Hopefully, they can at least do that on both those settings.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there should be kind of a middle ground. And, I think it's kind of the, I think it kind of, especially for people who, are former or current PC gamers, having the ability to kind of fiddle around with those settings a little bit more.
I don't even think it needs to be a PC gamer thing. They started the PlayStation 5 with these options. They shouldn't make the PS5 worse over time.
I'm just saying those people who are used to those options definitely going to appreciate them more.
Well, after 2 years of PS5 being out, I would argue that their console players are used to those options as well.
And all 10 people that got a PlayStation 5. But I'm just saying, I think more in general, console gamers are used to just turning on a game and just having, the choices made for them, as opposed to being like, oh, I can go through and I can change this and that, whatever. Yeah, definitely there's more games that do it now than have in the past. But I don't think it's so widespread that most people would think to look for those settings.
I would disagree from the amount of people that were just like, yeah, I don't care about this game now, from when that announcement came forward. Because that announcement came forward this morning, and there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, I'll check back when you guys actually do the performance ray tracing mode.
Yeah, but you're talking people online, Joe Schmo GameStop is gonna not care when they see that on the shelves. They're gonna be like,
"Oh man, you're right."
No.
All 3 people that bought one at Joe Schmo GameStop, or all 3 Joe Schmo GameStops that will still exist by the time that game releases.
That's true. Yeah, touche. All right, fine. Jane Payne Walmart.
You mean the place that hasn't had a PlayStation 5 since they released?
But I think they still sell games, though, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so they'll still, they'll walk in there with Grandma and they'll be like, "Oh, Grandma, it's the new Spider-Man game. Can I get it?" And Grandma's not going to be like, "Only if they have ray tracing, Jane." But if that Grandma did, she's a rock star.
Yeah, that's a great grandma if she did. I don't know. Do they have performance ray tracing? It doesn't say so, Grandma. Put that shit back.
You're not playing that on my 4K TV. Get that shit out of here. Grandma's got some Antique Roadshow to watch in high quality 4K.
Grandma has standards, Sonny. You don't.
So yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I think Spider-Man will do well, regardless.
I
Honestly,
do too,
yeah.
but I don't think it will do as well as other game
I don't
like
know.
Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom.
Probably not overall review wise, maybe,
Hmm.
but there is a lot to be said. There's a lot of people who have no problem bitching online and then privately buy the stuff anyways.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I get that.
like, oh man, this is bullshit. I'm not buying it. 10 seconds later, pre-orders on Amazon.
I already pre-ordered it. I have a friend that does that so often. Oh, this looks like garbage. I bought it.
Yeah, at least I'll be like, this game looks like shit. I'm not pre-ordering it until closer. And sometimes, maybe I don't actually buy it, but it's usually more for content as opposed
Hmm.
to, I'm usually, I don't think this game looks like it's gonna be worth $60. I'll wait and see what they say. It's only a 10-hour game.
See, I don't.
Maybe I'll
That
still
was
attempt it.
another discussion. And the money to time, that sort of thing. I don't think people understand that it's so much about the amount of time a game gives you, but it's how that time is spent. Like if that's 10 hours that is just like nonstop like killer, just like everything about it is fantastic. That's the
Hmm.
best 10 hours ever. That was a game worth $60. If it's 10 hours and it's like constant side quest and go here and do that, like to stretch out the game, or if for God's sakes, it's a Ubisoft Assassin's Creed title that's like 300 hours long, but like 200 of it feels like you've literally just gone and fetched groceries every single mission. That's when it's like, I don't care. I don't care about raising the flag. I don't care about assaulting this one base. I don't care. It's so boring. It's not about how long the game is, it's about how the game spends that time getting
Oh,
you
exactly.
invested.
Well, I mean, it's kind of weighing the scales because it does kind of go, both ways, I guess. You could have like, I don't know, like let's say for example, my favorite Metroid game, Zero Mission. That's like maybe an hour or two game, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing wild. I would have no problem spending $20 on that game if they threw it out and say like an eShop or something right now. Be like, all
yeah.
right, yeah, sure. If they were gonna do maybe like a remake. I would have no problem, updated graphics, better controls, $40. If they were trying to sell it 60 upwards, I would be hesitant because as much as that is a killer 1 hour game, that's a tough sell when you start to get into those, you know, that ratio to gameplay there is pretty wild. Um, but kind of the same. I
You,
do
you want to know some?
definitely, huh?
You want to know something wild about that?
What?
I decided to check the current prices for that game. 'Cause I was
Oh no.
curious.
What is it?
Do you want it complete or loose?
Well, let's just say loose. I think that's more realistic.
$70.
No,
Yep.
I would. I mean, I don't. Oh, I own a physical copy of that game. Yeah. Uh.
$78 was the most recent sale. The median price is $70.
Uh.
It sells normally on average between 70 and $89 for a loose copy.
That's wild. That would be a really tough sell. But that has a there's a difference though because that's more of a collector item at this point as opposed to you're not buying it just to play it for most people. You're buying it as a collector item. There are
If it's
other
a loose
places that
copy, why would it still be a collector's item?
those copies could be collector's items too. The value is different, but there still is value in the cartridge by itself.
I always feel like if people buy a cartridge game loose, aside from like NES and Super Nintendo titles, they're probably playing it. If it's like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance,
Mhm.
because it's like, how are you going to display those little cartridges? How are you going to like be like, oh, I collect these. Let me just pull out my binder of loose Game Boy cards.
I bet there's kind of a nice. I bet if you really want to get like creative, you probably could do like a nice kind of like plexiglass display. Maybe with like a blown up art behind it. Surround it by like some Samus amiibo or whatever, and all
Yeah,
of a
the
sudden
day,
you
why
got
don't you
yourself.
just pay $200 for the complete version then
I
instead?
could print a
Because
box
that is
myself for
how
much cheaper.
that is how much a complete version of this game cost.
Yeah,
Two
I would
hundred
rather just.
dollars.
You know what? I'll just print out a poster of the box and stick it behind it, and I will be equally as happy. Yeah, but like I said, once you start talking those kind of higher numbers, it becomes hard to value.
hmm
Um, but yeah, no, you're definitely right though.
I feel
It's
like
kind of
Nintendo would look at it and be like, price charting says the game's worth $70, so we're gonna sell it for $70.
they had it on the Wii U shop for $10, I believe. So it definitely is something that is not, you know, they've already moved past that, and realistically speaking, it should be on NSO at some point for no additional charge. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, tough sell. I think it's yeah, that's a tough one. There is what was I gonna say? Da-da-da-da. But back to that kind of the game cost ratio. 100% agree. If you have a shitty game that's a long game versus a really good game that's a long game,
Mhm.
that cost ratio, definitely holds a different value there. It's just I think it's if it's a really good game, it's a better sell. Pikmin 4, I put like 30 some hours into
Hmm.
alone. That's a great game, and that cost ratio is excellent. You have a lot of good game there, and it's very long. On the flip side, you look at something like Fire Emblem Engage, also a very long game, and there's lots that
It's
don't
so much
make you
padding,
want.
and it's like I don't want to play this.
Yeah, yeah, that cost ratio not as good. Just
hmm
because they're both equally long and they both cost the same amount of time, that cost ratio is not equal in that case. So, um, yeah, so it really depends on what it is. But obviously, I think it definitely tends to be more of if it's a great game and it's a long game, that makes it better value. I actually, while we were on the podcast, I saw Okami HD was on sale, and it's kind of
Nice.
been on my thinking about it list. So I'm like, oh, maybe I
I
should pick it
actually
up.
own that on Switch. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I was just reading about it. I didn't realize it had all the control things in there from
It
all the different
does.
ways, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool. And it's $10 game, and that game has a very high cost ratio. Like,
It
yeah,
sure does.
yeah, because it's like a deceivingly long game. It's like a 40-hour game.
Let's think of the tutorial alone.
Oh
The
god.
tutorial alone is like 7.
Yeah, basically that first part of the game, you're like, oh, I'm about to beat it. Nope, no, you're not. Like that
You
was
you
just kind of
literally just finished the tutorial.
yeah.
Congrats.
This is the prologue. You got the whole rest of the game to play, and there's a lot. So yeah, I mean that's also kind of a pretty kind of nice thing there. And
Yep.
just like I said, also too kind of with the price kind of thing, you might be for I guess on the flip side too, looking at it a different way, when you have a game that kind of has like a shitty cost ratio like Fire Emblem, it's like this is a really long game, but it's on sale now for a lot less, so I can suffer through that longer time to play because I'm not paying as much for it.
I
So
think I would just look at a shitty game and be like, damn, this is a long game and it sucks. That's a $60 saved.
yeah, but if it's middle of the road, I might be more willing to play around with it.
Why? Why not just play
Uh,
Three Houses again?
well, I mean, I'm not talking about Fire Emblem in general. I'm just if it's something new, like I wouldn't
I was
go
just
through and be
giving
like,
an
oh,
example. Like I would look for a better game for the same price.
yeah. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I guess it depends if it's something I really wanted to play, though. You know, if it's
Mm-hmm.
something I really wanted to play for whatever reason, and maybe it's mediocre and it's on sale, and it has some other good things in its favor, then that I might be willing to
I'd point you in the direction and be like, why don't you just play this game instead?
like what was it? I don't know. there's some games that I'm just, especially if they're on sale, I'm more willing to buy. Another game I was just looking at, it's on sale right now. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. I remember really liking that game on the GameCube, but it's not necessarily an exemplary game by any means. But right now it's
Mm,
$7, so it's
okay.
like, oh, you know, I mean for $10 or 10 hours for $7, not a
Yep, for
bad deal
10
either.
hours.
10 hours for $7.
Yeah.
So because it sounds like that's just kind of more of a, hey, we made this game look pretty, but we really didn't do much to fix any quality of life stuff on it.
Hmm.
But it was a cute game. I don't know if you ever played it before.
I have, but I would just point you in the direction of Klonoa and be like, that goes on sale for like cheap all the
But it's
time.
not on sale right now, Brandon. And
It was last I checked. See if it is right now.
I don't think it is. I just looked at the list. I don't know.
I don't either.
Because Klonoa is
Switch
Namco,
has
right?
Konami?
Oh, yeah, I think you might be right. I think it's Konami.
I actually
Maybe.
don't know what Klonoa is.
I think it's a platformer with a cat.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, it's Bandai Namco. You are right. I'm dumb. Yep, it is Bandai Namco. Was it always Bandai Namco? Probably.
Probably. I feel like that's knowledge I would have picked up from GameStop.
Yeah,
But
I think you're right.
I think Namco just had a bunch of stuff on sale. I don't think they have anything on sale right now.
Mm-mm.
I think their sale ended.
They are constantly on sale with games.
Yeah, I mean, pretty
Namco.
much everything usually goes on and up. Just kind of like 2K. 2K?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they always have their stuff on
Ubisoft.
and off sale. Ubisoft always has their stuff on and off sale.
Mhm.
Less frequently is like Square Enix. I feel like they do theirs maybe like 2 or 3 times a
It's
year.
always been Namco, not Konami.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
So, yeah, it all depends. Oh, I didn't realize they had all the Devil May Cries on the Switch too.
That's a great game, and they don't because they don't have 5.
Well, I meant 2, 3, and 4. Or sorry,
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. Oops, wrong numbers.
Is 4 not on there?
4's not on sale. It might be on there if it
Mm-hmm.
is, but it's just not on the sale list that I'm looking at. Right
Okay.
now.
Well, the first
Okay.
3 Devil May Cry games are great. Well, okay, 2 of them are.
Yeah, another game I was thinking about buying on this list: Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. I talked
Yeah,
about it before.
but that's something you already enjoy. That's not like I might as well buy it because it's on sale. That like mentality is just like weird to me. It's be like, it's not that good a game, but it's $40 now instead of 60. It's like
it's $10 instead of 30.
No,
and it's 3 games.
I was talking about your Fire Emblem example.
Oh, Fire Emblem's not on sale for anything now.
I know. I was just using that as an example, because
okay.
that's an example of a bad game that was on sale, that would be on sale, right? And then you're just like,
Yeah.
I might as well get it now that it's $20 off. But it's like you could spend that $40 on some of the games we just listed instead.
I probably could get all of those games for that price.
Exactly.
I've not listed a single one that was more than $10.
Exactly.
And Phoenix Wright and Okami alone probably keep you busy for almost 200 hours. Because those Phoenix Wright games aren't short either. So
I told you, I could probably give you like an example of games that are better spent with your money, and then you were like, no, I'll do it for you, and you just did. You just literally proved my point. These would be better uses of your money than buying a $40 game that's on sale that you know is bad.
But if I really wanted to play Fire Emblem, I don't know, I probably wouldn't rebuy that one.
If you really wanted to play Fire Emblem, I would say go play what is it called? It has war in the title.
Fire War Emblem.
No.
Fire War Emblem.
No.
It must be that one.
No.
God of War.
No, shut up. Let me find this. Damn it, what's it called?
Swardu Valley.
Fire Emblem ripoffs. That's what I'm about to type into Google. Indie game. Let's try that. Wargroove. I'd say go buy Wargroove instead.
Okay.
Which is like Fire Emblem and Advanced Wars combined together.
I just want to finish Advanced Wars. I only have 4 missions left. I'm so close.
Like I said, I would say go buy Wargroove.
But I don't need to. I got Advanced Wars to finish.
Or go buy Symphony of War. These are games that I would say buy instead of Fire Emblem, whatever the fucking title, Engage, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Well, as I said, I'm not really. I'll probably end up picking up something
More
else.
like Fire Emblem Disengage, am I right?
Da-da-da. Yeah, no, I got 5 days to think about this. Maybe I'll end up with all three, and I'll probably only play one. We'll just let the other one sit on my Switch backlog.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
normally what you do.
Oh no, I'm not you or Nick. I play most of mine. The only one that I've egregiously left in my backlog is Disgaea. Not Disgaea. Dragon Grandpa. Dragon
What?
Grandpa.
Oh, that's upsetting.
I know. I'm gonna, be more upsetting if I bought Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, and played
Yeah.
that. And
I
left
added
Dragon Grandpa.
another game to my backlog, even though I've been playing it on Game Pass. I
Mhm.
got a free code for it on PC, so now can play it on my Steam Deck.
Mhm.
I got Arcade Paradise on PC.
Okay.
The one I talked about the other week, where you like have your own arcade.
Is it
That's
in the
a
washing thing?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a code for it,
Ah,
and now I
I
have
didn't
it on
realize you
PC.
didn't have it. Yeah, that's nice.
Well, I had it on Game Pass because it's on Game Pass. That's how I was playing it.
That's what you're playing on. For some reason, I just assumed it was
Hmm.
you were playing on PC. That's cool. That's really nice.
Yep, great game. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
done. I've got nothing else to say. I'm good now at this point.
Let's wrap it up then.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out our website, game-crunch.com, for all our current and old episodes. If you want to reach out to us, we are on the internet. Facebook is one of those places. Or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hi.
any final thought?
I have no thought.
Okay. And then with that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online on Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Games. I have a discussion for today.
You what?
A discussion for the podcast today.
Oh, good.
We'll talk about it during the podcast. What's up?
Nothing was up with you.
And Katie came in. Sorry about that. I'm back.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, so I'm good now whenever you are.
Just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 1 second. I mean 2 minutes. I don't know what this is.
Hmm.
Oh, just a new Pokemon trailer.
Hmm.
Oh, I forgot about my very own Mew.
About your very own what?
My very
Oh,
own
Mew. Oh, I almost forgot about it too. Thanks for reminding me. And I gotta go remind Katie too.
Mm-hmm. All right. I just wanted to see they put out a new DLC trailer this week, so I figured that would be something to talk about because it doesn't look like there's a lot of news.
I disagree.
Okay, well that's good then.
It's not really so much news as it was a big thing that happened during like the gaming community over the weekend, and we'll talk about that.
All right. Well, you ready to get started then?
Yeah, let's get right in.
All right.